All right. Make it rain. Last year slash financial year slash this time a year ago, I received pay raises from both of my jobs. Deja vu. I'm also receiving another raise from both jobs this year too. I talked about my pay rises last year as well. Last year we had a 4.6% raise from the supermarket. The calculations here you're seeing on screen are a little bit higher since my hours are during penalty rates, hence I get an extra amount on top of the base increase. And a 4.46% raise from the office. So that equated to around roughly $2,509 from the office and about $1,300 per year from the supermarket. But that's tricky to add up since the hours fluctuate at the supermarket. Either way, it was a pretty decent raise at both jobs. The year prior, I went from $27 an hour to $28.50 an hour at the office, which was almost a $3,000 per year increase, which was a 5.56% increase for that year. And at the time, I got a 2.13% increase at the supermarket from a base rate of $22.17 per hour to $22.64 per hour, and that's a little higher for the Saturday and Sunday shifts too. So I've had raises at both jobs since the middle of 2021, or since the 2022 financial year, and now we're in the middle of the 2023 year, or getting into the 2024 financial year, and we're getting the biggest raises ever at both jobs. It's a good time for my money stat. This year I am receiving about a 17% pay increase from the office and a 5.75% increase from the supermarket. How's that? Not bad at all. And technically it's even higher from the supermarket since the 5.75% is an increase to the base rate. Meanwhile, all my hours are in penalty rates. The math I whipped up at the time of making this video is a little off, but I'll wait till I receive my first payslip for the new financial year before confirming the total raise all up. The reason I'm making this video now, and not after the new financial year arrives, is because I want to pump out some videos ASAP. At the time of finishing this script, it's Thursday the 8th of June. My exam results for my 5th exam come out tomorrow. Well, at the time of recording this voiceover, they've already come out. And regardless of whether I fail or pass, so I ended up failing, I'm going to start studying shortly after the results come out. So I know which subject to start studying, which is going to be the same subject I failed rather than a new one. Furthermore, we have the King's birthday holiday here in Victoria, Australia this upcoming Monday, which is the time I'm recording this voiceover, which gives me an entire day to smash out videos. I also currently have 2 others in the works. They're actually both already done now. And the sooner I get these done, the sooner I can begin studying. Since all 3, I made 4, since all 4 of these videos are currently in production, or most of them are done now, I want to get them out ASAP as I have my own reasons for uploading these sooner rather than later, but that's besides the point. So my salary from the office is going from $58,825 a year to $68,825 a year, and my hourly pay from the supermarket is going from $23.75 an hour to $25.13 an hour. However, I never do any normal rate hours at the supermarket. I only do Saturdays and Sundays, which are all penalty rate hours. So technically I got a $1.71 pay increase for my Saturday shifts and a $2.05 per hour raise for the Sunday shifts. If I was to do any other shifts, they'd be after 6 p.m. on a weeknight, thus they'd also be at the 25% penalty rates, which is what I get on Saturday. Now, the reason I got a raise at the supermarket is due to the recent minimum wage increase here in Australia. The unions had pushed for a 7% raise to keep in line with inflation, which I'll talk about soon, and the businesses had advocated for around a 3 to 3.5% raise. The businesses were like, we can't afford any more than this. If we are forced to pay more, we will need to lay off staff or even close our businesses. Now, as for the unions, giving a 7% increase to the lowest paid workers in Australia doesn't help keep in line with inflation. I've talked about this in another video before, but the percentage increase doesn't help you keep up with inflation if the costs of all other products are already higher than your wage. A 7% increase to a $22 payment isn't going to help you keep up with a 7% increase in the cost of a $700,000 house. Regardless, I knew we weren't going to get a 7% raise. This was absurd. However, I was not expecting a 5.75% award raise. So there's the minimum wage and the award rates. The General Retail Industry Award is what applies to us supermarket workers. This is slightly higher than the minimum wage. Last year, the minimum wage went up 5.2% and the award rates went up 4.6%. This year, they were technically the same. However, the way it works is basically the minimum wage was set to increase anyway. It was going to go up a bracket, and then there was another 5.75% added to that new figure. So the new minimum wage technically increased like 8.6%. Everyone who isn't on minimum wage is mad. There's many debates to each side. The arguments against this is this will contribute to inflation, causing the RBA to raise rates further, wage price spiral, that sort of stuff. Businesses will lay off staff, they'll close. All decent points. On the other hand, it's giving more money to the lowest paid workers. The extra $70 a week for those on the lowest wages will go a long way for them. You can get cheap groceries for like a week with that money. You can buy a lot of rice and potatoes with that money. But I can talk about that debate and give my whole thoughts another time. Like, I have some thoughts on the wage price spiral thing here. And there are several comments from the RBA governor, treasurer, and other prominent figures I can react to. But the purpose of this video is to talk about my pay rises, not react to people arguing about the new minimum wage. So, while we're still on the supermarket, if my calculations are correct, I should be getting another $30 per week, which adds up to more than $1,500 a year. I mentioned this in my 2022 summary video, but my Sunday contract changed from 7 till 4 to 1 till 10. So now that I don't work any hours between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., I lose 2 hours of 100% penalty rates. If you work between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. on a Sunday, you get a 100% penalty rate for those hours. The rest of Sunday is at 50%. So my contract changing meant I lost about $1,200 per year. So now I've basically gotten that back plus a little more. And I can still have my Sunday sleep-ins. Pretty sweet deal. So with this increase, I go from an annual rate of $27,448 to about $29,000 at the supermarket. This figure is based on my weekly rate times 52 for the 52 weeks in the year. My yearly pay from the supermarket is most certainly going to be higher than this though. There's always a couple public holidays I work per year, as in my contracted weekend shifts fall on a public holiday, or I get asked to cover my manager while on a public holiday. So this is like adding an extra 3 to 5 shifts per year, maybe more. But either way, it's more than this. And this is also without super and without including my grocery discounts. I included these as a part of my supermarket pay package in my 2022 summary video, and I still count it, since they're financial benefits related to my employment. Most people don't include super as part of their payment. You should. Just because it isn't part of your gross pay doesn't mean it's not money you earned. Based on the logic of not counting super as part of your payment, you also shouldn't include gross payments as part of your pay, since this gets taxed. So including super, that's more than $32,000 per year. Not bad, seeing as though it's a part-time job. I enjoy it, and it allows me to have my Saturday nights free to do what I want. So let's talk about the office gig now. I'm receiving a $10,000 annual salary increase. The reason for this is my workplace has consulted with a HR firm, and they're giving me a $10,000 raise in the 2024 financial year, and then another $10,000 the following year, provided I meet certain conditions. I touched on this during the Thursday in my most productive week ever video. I think it was a Thursday, could have been a Wednesday, but that's irrelevant. But I'll worry about the certain conditions for the next raise, next financial year. For now, if we split down the $68,825 to an hourly rate, we have $68,825 divided by 52 equals $1,323.58. This divided by 38 paid hours equals $34.83 per hour. So between both of my jobs, I will get $34.83 per hour Monday to Friday, $31.41 per hour on a Saturday, and $37.69 per hour on a Sunday. Not a single hour is below $30 an hour. This is crazy for me since years ago, $25 an hour would have been crazy money for me. I remember when I was younger, we had someone from my supermarket job at Woolies trying to apply to Aldi, since Aldi was paying $20 an hour. At the time, we were on like maybe $17 an hour, maybe less. This was before I turned 20, which is when you go into adult wage here in Australia. But that goes to show that in the past, $20 an hour was insane money for me. Obviously, you get older and perspectives change and inflation and all that, but even still, not a single paid hour below $30. Yes, I worked for the office one and kinda got handed the supermarket one by the government, but I still busted my ass staying there all these years, proving myself, working hard, getting the good hours, and now I am rewarded. Now I need to make a quick note, hourly rate isn't the absolute best way to make money. The best way is outcome based, since there's only so many hours you can work in a week. Hourly pay is not that scalable. I have 54 paid hours of work each week, 38 paid hours at the office, 16 paid hours at the supermarket, because you don't get paid for lunch breaks. There's 168 hours in a week. There's only so many hours you can work in a week before you run out of time. And obviously, there becomes a cap on the amount you can earn per hour. I seriously doubt I'll ever be at the point where I earn $60 an hour from the supermarket, and I doubt I'll ever be on $500 an hour as an accountant, unless I have my own practice, which won't happen since I don't work in public accounting and have no ambition of being those high-up executives at the largest companies, since that means I need to sacrifice my other stats. Fuck that. So my income is capped by working employment jobs. However, employment jobs are stable. Well, they are if you pick the stable areas. I've talked about this on the channel before, but pick a second job / part-time job at places like supermarkets that have a wide variety of hours you can work and that are necessities. The pandemic showed us how stable supermarket jobs are. And when you pick a career, go onto government websites showing their projected statistics such as job growth and income growth for various industries. Pick one of those that are projected to have good growth in 10 years and work towards that. You trust government statistics over others because they're the ones who control everything. This is basically the only thing I trust from the government. Again, I have talked about these points before. So I brought this up just to show you that if your focus is the most money possible, there are other ways to go about it. This is why I'm gunning for real estate, playing in the stock market, and making my own business. I make nothing from the business, I'm still getting the gist of the stock market, and I am waiting for my land to be developed, but all three of these aren't tied to an hourly rate. You can make 3 times your investment in good swing trades in less than a day if you get really good at the stock market. Real estate income I've touched on before, and same with a business. In fact, I've also touched on stocks before, so check the other videos out if you want more info on these 3 areas. The reason I'm talking about these hourly rates is to show the kind of extra money you can make from working a second job, since I know most Aussies, at least, seem to think it's not an option. You see it in news articles about struggling Aussies. They're struggling with inflation / rate hikes / the economy in general, and they're like, oh, I might need to cut back on Uber Eats. Yeah, cook your own meals, lazy. And then they also say, I may even need to get a second job. Yeah, join the club. Fun fact, if you make more money, it helps your money issues. Mind blown. Again, this is why you pick an in-demand career. So your salary / hourly pay goes up over time as you become more valuable to the workforce. Whereas if you pick a lower skilled / low barrier to entry jobs, such as my supermarket job, your pay only goes up whenever unions or the government say you get a pay rise. Yes, you can work your way up in these jobs, but usually they're worse working conditions than other careers, which I've also discussed before. Yes, you can have a shitty working environment through a degree / trade related career, but you have more options / flexibility. If I hate my job as a Woolies manager, where am I going to go? Coles? Aldi? Not many choices. If I hate my job as an accountant, where am I going to go? Literally anywhere, lol. So many choices. Mental health is the most important stat. Another reason to pick a career. It gives you choices to help maximize the mental health stat. It's also why I haven't left my current job to pursue higher pay. I've had $80,000 offers recently, which is $20,000 more than what I'm currently on. Not for long, but the current job I'm at is super chill and the work environment is fantastic. I can't tell you the last time I went to work stressed. I'm not going to gamble this opportunity for the sake of more money now. Now, you can argue, well, pick a higher paying job so you can replace the supermarket income and have your weekends free. Well, yes, but actually no. If I'm suffering 5 days a week, this will eat into my enjoyment of the weekend. Plus, I wouldn't leave the supermarket anyway, since I'd be leaving more than $30,000 a year on the table, and I enjoyed the job. Plus, it's also active, which is helping me stay lean. But anyway, I've gotten off topic yet again. So, in total, for the next financial year, I will make almost $98,000 gross from the 2 jobs. And when you factor in things such as public holidays and some back pay from the hours I worked in years past, this is easily over 98k, which is above the average wage here in Australia. Now, on that note, I'm about to go on another side tangent, I can feel it, but the average salary here in Australia is like $92,000 per annum. But this is incredibly misleading. The reason the average is so high here is due to politicians and miners earning crazy amounts of money, our low population, and our high minimum wage. Personally, I'm not complaining about the higher minimum wage, but there's a misconception amongst international viewers with my income. Like when I say, oh, I'm on 90k plus a year, the response is, well, that's the average Aussie wage. Yes, it's the average, not the median. Plus, our population centres are heavily focused around the major capital cities, where the cost of living is higher, hence the salaries are also higher, so that's even more incomes dragging the average up. Where I live, our salaries are lower due to the location. A good example that portrays this is Elon Musk walks into a room with 50 homeless people. Each person in that room on average is a billionaire. See what I mean? The few high rollers dragging the average up. Check these clips that further illustrate my point.
But expecting conditions to improve next year, easing pressures, Liberal Senator James McGrath claims bureaucrats like Employment Department Secretary Natalie James don't understand.
How much do you get paid?
Oh, Senator, I don't have that matter to hand, but
You don't know how much you get paid. We're in a cost of living crisis, and you'll find that most Australians actually do know what they get paid.
Another bureaucrat did.
The total remuneration package of $845,650.
$845,000.
Degree and have an average job.
You might be thinking $90,000, wow, that's high. It is. That's because CEOs and vice chancellors taking home millions inflate the total pool of income and skew the average high. If we look at the median, that is the figure in the middle of all figures, that's around 48,000.
So if you're making more than that, you're making more than 50% of all working people in Australia. And still, housing is so far out of reach.
There's something bigger at play.
So yeah, politicians are on stupid money. Miners are on a lot since a lot of Australia's prosperity is thanks to our commodities, and having a higher floor on our lowest skilled workers also drags the average up. All this is to say, this money isn't just average, and I've also mentioned this in another video before, but you also need to factor in locations. Like, this is nothing compared to New York pay, but I don't live in New York. And this is high class income for Southeast Asia, but I don't live in Southeast Asia. All this is to say, all things considered, this is good money. When you include superannuation, which you should, that adds on almost $11,000 extra per year. The superannuation rate is up to 11% for this upcoming financial year, the 2024 financial year, which is up from 10.5% the prior year. So adding those together, we have about $108,500 for the next financial year, probably closer to $109,000 when you factor in public holidays at the supermarket. If you told me 5 years ago that in the 2024 financial year, I'd be on $109,000 per year, I would have thought you were crazy. And the weird part is, I'm only 26, turning 27, and I'm not even close to being done, and I can still increase my other stats like my investor stat, brand/business stat, aesthetic stat, and even my career stat in the form of professional development alongside earning this. It's not like most of my free time goes to time on employment income. It's like around 60 hours a week, including lunch breaks. I can still stay in shape, I can still learn the stock market, I can still grow my brand, I can still study and increase my formal education. That's insane. It goes back to what I said earlier in the video. The main money move involves money that isn't tied to an hourly rate, but this is fantastic for the meantime. Even if the brand never succeeds, even if I somehow never get the full gist of the stock market, and even if I only ever end up with a one property, I still have my employment income holding me up. Anyway, there's more. So as part of my employment at the office, they're paying off my CPA studies, including one go round for each subject. If I fail a unit, I need to pay it from my own pocket to go again, which I will for this next semester, as well as the membership. So the CPA membership only goes up every year, but it's around $340 at the moment, so work pays for this. So this is extra money I earn from work. As for the supermarket, we get a 5% discount on all groceries and a further 5% on Woolworths specific brands, which my spinach, eggs, milk and tuna and maybe a couple of other products are. so I get 10% off every time I buy those items. Not sure how much I'll get in the year from the supermarket discounts, which is extra money received from that specific job, but I'll guess it's about $500 per year. That's like almost a full weekend of money for free. You'll take that any day. Furthermore, this certain rewards program I'm a part of gives me $10 off a shop every time I hit 2,000 shopping points, but that's not the point. The point is, this rewards thing is free for supermarket workers, but it costs $70 for the non-essential workers per year. So there's an extra $70 in work benefits tacked onto the total gross and super payments. That works out to be around $109,500 per year. Only $500-ish off $110,000. Just need to work another weekend in the year. We need 53 weeks in that year, not 52, and then we'll hit that $110,000 figure. Once again, consider public holidays. Chances are I do hit around $110,000 in total, which is fucking insane to think about. Clearing the six-figure mark comfortably would be something I'd only ever think I'd hit in my late 30s, early 40s, if you had asked me several years ago. There's more ways to go about getting six figures rather than just busting your ass at one job. You can do another job. I know that working full days on the weekend is extreme, but the choice is there if you want it bad enough. It helps that I enjoy both my jobs, and as mentioned, my office job is cruisy, so it's easy to do this second job consistently. I'm not flat out exhausted come Friday afternoon like most others. I am also still underpaid for my market skills at my accounting job, so this will only increase in the future. So it's not like this is the end. Far from it. It's only up from here, which is the super crazy part. I also predict more raises at the supermarket in the future, since from what I've seen, inflation is sticky here in Australia. So this time next year, we probably will have unions pushing for more minimum wage increases, so more pay for me at the supermarket. So yeah, pay raises at both jobs, all things considered, we're going to be on around $110,000 per year. And considering I'm still leveling up my other stats in the meantime, it's insane money. Did any of you guys receive pay raises for this upcoming financial year? If so, how much? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. That is all.